today we're going to play with crayons. Now, originally I had made this crayon roll-up. It has been very popular on YouTube and in my Etsy shop, where it holds 6 crayons and a little notepad. But some people didn't want the notepad. They just wanted the crayon roll-up. So that is what we are going to do today. This also is done with Velcro, and I tried that, but I found that using a little piece of 3/4 inch elastic is much easier. And I'm all about easy for something like this. I also realized that when I made it the same height, I really wasted some fabric because I don't need it this long unless you want it to fold down over to make sure the crayons aren't coming out. We're going to have a little bit above the crayons, so I don't think they're going to fall out anyway. I think we're going to do it so it's about like that. Now we're going to be making it for 8 crayons. You can make and fill 3 of these with every box of 24 crayons. They just roll up, put the elastic on there, and it is good to go. And then I also did this one that holds the entire box of 24 crayons and is double-sided. This is a nice and simple project. We need 1 piece of fabric, 1 piece of elastic, and we're going to do straight stitching, and then all you need are the crayons. So this is a great sewing for beginners, great way to teach kids or anyone to sew. So let's get started. First, for the 8 crayon roll-up, we're going to need 17.5 inches wide. I basically do the number of crayons I want in my roll-up times 2 plus 1.5 so that I have a little bit of extra for my seam when I tuck it under. Then for the 8 crayon roll-up, we're going to use 5.5 inches of 3/8 inch flat elastic. You can use other elastic. You can probably use a hairband if you want to. This is what I have, and it works great, nice and easy for everyone. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to fold this in half, wrong sides together, and I'm just going to sew down both sides. Now I'm going to be using leader fabrics for this project because it's going to be a lot faster than pulling up my bobbin thread for all of the straight stitches that we're going to be doing. So a leader fabric is basically just a little scrap of fabric. I just take extras and cut them into little pieces that I keep by my sewing machine. We're going to start sewing on the leader fabric. Leave a little bit of a gap so that it isn't underneath that. And then by the time you get to your actual project, any bird's nest or knotting that might happen is going to have happened back here on our throwaway fabric, and you can go forward and back to catch that. So you'll see the leader fabric is attached but not connected. So you're just going to cut that off, and then we will use it again over and over and over on this project. Now I am going to snip this a little bit, kind of basically like snipping the corner. Make sure you don't cut the folded part, just a little bit there so that we get a nice point when we turn this right side out. And now we're going to go back to our workspace. All right, got my handy dandy portable ironing board. If you need to make one of these, check the link below because I did post a video on how I made this and I love it. Now, what we need to do with this is we need to turn it right side out, and then the ends need to be turned under about 1/4 inch because we're going to be sewing that closed. So here is the question. Do you flip it and iron it before or after you turn it right side out? I keep changing my mind over time, but right now I have decided that it is a little bit easier to do when it is still inside out because I can visually see better how much I have flipped. So I'm just going to do that. Sometimes I will press those seams open before pressing this, but I'm not going to today. All right, so I have that. Now I'm going to turn this right side out. Get my cute little Riley Blake bird corner turner. I'm going to very gently push those corners out. And now I'm going to press this flat, making sure that everything is out at the seams. We don't want it tucked in at all so that it's not straight. We want it nice and straight. You're probably wondering where my clapper is because I am a big fan. Forgot to bring that over. And then I'm also pressing where it's folded. So now we have just a rectangle that is nice and flat. This side is folded in. And now we're going to fold up 2.5 inches for the crayon holder part. Now, here's where you can get particular if you want to make it right-handed or left-handed. Both of my parents were left-handed, so I'm always very aware of this. Basically, a right-handed is where you're going to be rolling to the right and your elastic's on the right. Left-handed would be the opposite way. So how do you do that? It all depends on which side you put the opening. If you want it to be more of a right-handed roll-up, you're going to keep the opening on the right-hand side. If you want it to be a lefty, you're going to put it here. I guess since I made this a righty, let's make this a lefty. So we have a sample of each. Now I'm going to be using this hot ruler. I don't know if you've ever seen this before. It's from Clover. It's kind of fuzzy feeling, very flexible, and you can iron on it. It's awesome. So what you do is you line up, make sure it's parallel with the side. You don't want it like that. You want to make sure you're moving things straight. And then you're just going to pull the fabric until it hits the 2.5 inch mark. And then you don't even have to move it. They make some different sizes. This is the 14 inch. It's a little bit longer. It was a little bit more expensive, but if you're going to be using it, I would get bigger rather than saving a few dollars to get the smaller one, because it's going to be a lot more versatile for you. Okay, so we have that folded. Now we're going to go to the sewing machine and we're going to start stitching these lines, and we're going to do them at 1 inch intervals. That gives lots of room for kids to easily put your crayons in and out. So the first line we're going to do is on the folded side. So not this side with the opening, but the opposite side, whichever side that is on. And we're going to sew 1/4 inch or slightly less than 1/4 inch from the edge. Now, if you want to, you can go forward and back a little bit at that folded part to make it a little bit stronger. Okay, so we have our first side done. Now we need to sew in 1 inch intervals just to the edge. And I go slightly like a stitch or two over and then come back just to give that extra stability. So now the question becomes, how do you want to measure your 1 inch marks? You could take a ruler and you could draw lines with a pencil or a heat erasable pen, or you could use tape. So this is 1 inch wide. So let me show you how that would work. I would just put a piece of tape down, and because we need this to really be 1 inch, we didn't leave a lot of extra side to side. I'm going to put the tape over that stitch line. And then I like to start from this bottom folded part, which is a little trickier when I'm doing this the left-handed one. And then I need to sew right next to, but not on, the tape. I'm going to use that leader fabric for each one. Then I'm just going to take that painter's tape and move it over and sew again. So let's do the second one this way, and then I'm going to show you some other ways that you can do your markings that will be helpful, especially if you're going to be making a bunch of these. This tape will restick 8 to 10 times, and then you'll need a new piece. You can draw. We're not going to do that. You know how to do that. You can use that tape. And then the other way that I've done, especially when I'm doing a lot, is I use this foot guide. And most sewing machines come with it. It's really designed to be used on the right-hand side, like most things my parents would say, are designed to be used right-handed. There's a little hole that it pushes through, and then you would just measure how far you want it to be. Or you can use the guideline, but I find using this makes it a lot faster and easier. So this would be 1 inch to this side. But because I'm doing a lefty one, I need to go 1 inch from this side. So I did discover that I can put it the opposite way. It just sits upside down. So instead of a lot of it resting on the fabric, just this part will, but it works just as well. So I'm going to line this up so that this guide is going to run right on top of that stitching. And if I was making a bunch of these, this is what I would do, because I don't have to move it. I don't have to worry about it not sticking as much as it, like when if you're using the tape. Now we've sewn all the way across, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sewn together for the crayons. And now this is going to be our 8th, and it is also where we have the opening. So before you sew that, we need to add the elastic. So I'm just going to take my piece of elastic and fold it in half. I'm going to fold this in half just to get a feel for where the half is. It's a little bit down from that edge. And I'm going to open the fold, and I'm going to put it inside the fold of the back, not inside the crayon part fold, but this longer part here. and I'm going to put it about 1/2 inch in. Now if you want to clip that, so it kind of stays while you get started, and now we're going to sew 1/4 inch to maybe a little bit less than 1/4 inch from that edge to make sure that that crayon space is big enough and that we are closing that folded edge. Now when I get closer to here, I make sure it's coming out straight. And I usually just use my scissors to press down on everything so that it's not going to move. So I did sew back and forth over the elastic just to make sure it really stays in there, because this is for kids, so they might be a little bit rough with it. Now you just need to go back and clip these threads, and we are ready to fill it with crayons. Now we're just going to open our crayons, and then you just slide them into each spot. And remember, if you want to do longer and have spaces for more than 8 crayons, you just change the math. You make it however many crayons you want, times 2 plus 1.5 to 2 inches. I find 1.5 works really well. You don't get a lot of extra on either end. But if you want to be more careful, you might not do your seams as evenly, then maybe add 2. And then you're going to have this 7.5 inches so that it is taller than your crayons and has this fold up area. So this is a lefty one. We're going to roll that to the left, add the elastic, and look at how cute. Ready to go, keeps it all together, great to throw in your purse, have it in the car. This is the other one that I did where I did it the same size as my original roll-up that had the notepad, not thinking that this was so tall because of the notepad. But if you want to do it taller, you can do it where you then fold down, and that will definitely ensure that if they don't roll it tightly, nothing's going to fall out, right? Because they're in there, but these are not going anywhere. So I would save the fabric, do the slightly smaller, and then you can get 12 out of 1 yard of fabric. My name is Tara Reed. I'm an artist and a fabric designer with Riley Blake Designs. I love to teach easy sewing projects, things to sew and sell, how to sew and sell, and more. So be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can also check out my website at tarareed.com.